What's going on, you guys? It's your huggable hipster here, and oh wait a second. Nope, I forgot something. Hold on. Oh yeah, we're cracking a cold one open with the boys. Again, it's just Arizona iced tea. So happy Sunday. It's not Friday, but it'll do. Welcome back to today's Psychologically Gaming, where in an outstanding turn of results, you guys voted unanimously in voting for the fog for Psychologically Gaming for today, which I think is actually pretty cool that you guys want to know my psychological opinion on what the fog represents in Silent Hill. So buckle up your seats, be sure to get your chimneys swept, and let's get into this. So when we're looking at the fog in Silent Hill, we're looking at the separation between life and death. Especially in the very first Silent Hill, we're looking at a separation between the life of Henry as a person versus the life of Henry as technically a ghost. As we all know, in Silent Hill is basically the place of where all of your nightmares of who you are as the worst possible version of yourself come to life. Look at Pyramid Head, for example. Pyramid Head is the embodiment of everything James Sunderland hated about himself. The rapist, the moron, the abusive, narcissistic murderer that killed his wife. All the things that he absolutely hated. I wonder what manifestation of the things that I hate about me would be represented out there in Silent Hill. It might just be a little existential blob of nothingness, because when I don't know, that's just what I picture. It's like a blob that just goes boink, 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 boink. Think of Qbert, that game from the early 2000s. Any of you remember Qbert? That would be basically me. Oh. Yeah, that was Qbert. And then you had to get past the snakes and everything like that. Oh man, childhood, fun times. In each Silent Hill game, we see the fog represents something different for the unique person going through their own Silent Hill, technically. And the fog in Silent Hill 3 was a separation of basically like a person's state of mourning. So when you looked at Heather and who she was, it was completely different whenever she was in Silent Hill, and she was representing herself in like the version of her that she had to kind of just slap away, you know, that kind of like fighting within yourself. That was a division of the self, the division of the ego, the division of the alter ego. You're seeing so many different versions of the same type of person in Silent Hill, and we really see that come to life in Silent Hill 3. Now in Silent Hill 4, The Room, I don't remember. Oh God, I haven't played Silent Hill 4 The Room in ages. But I would say like there wasn't as much fog there as there was in previous Silent Hill installments. There was just a separation of realities. Like you would be in the same place, but it looked incredibly different. It's a separation of kind of like where your mental state is, but there wasn't really as much fog, so I'm not going to go towards that game as much. When you get more into Silent Hill Homecoming and you get more into Silent Hill Downpour is a unique one because he really is a divisive character. He's more of like in denial of who he is instead of like just straight up not knowing who he is. But in Silent Hill 1, you clearly see that indicator of the fog being a separation between life and death. And you see that for the first 3 Silent Hill games, the fog means something so entirely different. And what's interesting is that the fog itself wasn't actually meant to be a motif in the game. It kind of did that accidentally, you know, but the fog was actually just made as a rendering process for the game. So that's why it kind of looked like there was fog in there, but it wasn't intentional at all whatsoever. What I love about the fact that there is this rendering process that got metamorphosized into a theme, into a psychological motif, is that there are so many different things that people think, oh, well, this has to mean something. This, of course, this means something. When in reality, for the developer, this was just put in as an aside. It wasn't supposed to mean anything. But for us as players of the game, as people who I would say are borderline obsessed with it, not in a bad way, but like really fangirling about the game. Because come on, you cannot sit here and tell me, if you are a Silent Hill fan, that you have not obsessed about theories. It just is what it is. I mean, if you know what? The Silent Hill life chose me. But that's basically what it is at the end of the day, the way I interpret the fog, even though it wasn't meant to be anything. It wasn't meant to be a motif. It wasn't meant to be this deep-rooted thing in the video games. It just is what it is and how it is represented. It is a separation between life and death, or at least to me. I don't know if any other Silent Hill scholars would say that, but for me at least, it's a separation between life and death. And the second one, you see more of the separation of the self, of who you portray yourself to be and who you actually are. And in the third game, it's more of a separation of you know, of finding yourself and finding where, like, and I'm extending on my points from before, but finding yourself and finding who you actually are behind the super ego, behind all of the layers that you put on in front of people. But you guys, that is it for me for today's video. Follow the link in the description below to my Patreon. I post polls on there every time that I do a psychologically gaming video, and I'll ask you guys what kind of stuff you want to see from those videos. Those, like, I only ask on Patreon. I don't ask on Twitter. I don't ask any other place, so that's exclusive to Patreon. But yeah, if you guys like my face and what I do, please be sure to subscribe and hit that bell down below. We just got to 2,800 people here on the channel. We are getting so close to 3,000. It is unbelievable. I'm so freaking excited right now, but I can't even put this into words. But may you find your worth in the waking world, dear hunter, and stay casually nerdy. I will see you all in the next video. Bye, you guys.